Hey traders, happy Monday. Welcome to the Weekly Outlook. This is Chris Pulver here. It is the 14th of October. Time for Weekly Outlook, the 14th through the 18th. Let's take a look here. So buy the what and sell the what? That is the question. I would like to fill in here, buy the rumor, sell the fact, because coming out of Friday's news, we had a mini trade war agreement between US and China. And what does that look like? Well, if you take a look at the SPY where the markets had a bit of excitement last week, we put in a bit of a short-term bottom right here back in early October. We have broken this little trend line, and I'm wondering if we are heading towards marginally higher highs on a couple of things. One, US and China talks are underway. Markets were pretty excited about it last week. Whether or not the realization over the weekend is, well, is it going to happen? Is it just talks right now? So Monday seems to be a bit of a reality sinking in. Here's the currency strength chart for the morning. And just a quick refresh. We have the pound again, wild and crazy on Brexit stuff. We'll talk about that when we get into the pound pairs. Safe haven currencies rising to the top. This is the dollar, the yen, the Swiss strong on the morning. So it just looks like the reality setting in of, well, is this really going to happen from last week? Is it not? So there were a couple things. We had US-China talks. We had Brexit optimism. And we had the U.S. Fed expanding the balance sheet up to $60 billion a month in treasury purchases. So will that mean that the Fed will be cutting rates later this year or again this month? We don't know yet. But this is what kind of sparked the optimism in the market rally last week. Here we are looking at a bit of reality setting in as our dose of Monday gets underway. So safe haven currencies back on top. Risk currencies like the New Zealand, like the Aussie, near the bottom, just kind of balance out in a volatile session. The pound, of course, all over the place. The pound is up like 5.5% last week, and some of that is given back. We'll take a look at the charts here momentarily, but it just seems to be exactly what we show here. Buy the rumor, sell the fact. All right, so let's take a look at our charts. There's our SPY. We'll take a look and see where the day closes. Are we going to grind towards marginally higher highs, or is this volatility going to continue where this low becomes in question, these lows become in question, this structure becomes in question? So we're just not confirming to the downside yet, but we'll find out. Oil's been a big story as well. We have Turkey and Syria going at it, and oil has been off the lows around $51 and back up here. You can see hit highs around $55 and a back down on the day. So with the volatility here just coming again off the lows, 51 and change, all the way up towards 54 plus, and then a very aggressive bearish day so far. But I'm watching, and I continue to watch. This now is like 2-3 months in the making of support at 51, resistance at 61. So if we have some active futures traders out there, they're probably loving the fact that we have the opportunity to buy low, sell high, and there's just trade after trade after trade in here. But there is a lot of volatility, so make sure you are trading accordingly. Let's take a look at the currency pairs. Let's go alphabetically. Aussie CAD. CAD had an incredible jobs report last week. They had like 5 billion jobs print. Just kidding. They printed 53K, but only forecasted, I believe, 11,000. So there was an 11.2K forecast, and 53,000 came in. So 5 times more than expected, or just shy of 5 times more. So I always love how the Aussie and the CAD, their news announcements are either the worst thing ever or the best thing ever. And so the CAD was stronger. We also saw some stronger oil prices on Friday, but that is deteriorating today. But going into the Aussie CAD, my outlook doesn't really change. I'm still going after this nice, healthy profit box and outer trend line around 9,300. I would also be very happy just kind of building these little positions and getting back to 91, even to this previous high around 92.50. Would put a smile on my face with some nice profit. So that's Aussie CAD. Aussie Swiss. I've looked at this trade many times in many ways, and it still points bullish for me. So all I am doing is just quietly and patiently waiting for this level and this level to continue to hold, and hopefully we see a new high here in the short term. I would love to get price back to this 69.50 to 7,000 zone, or I have up here 69.50 to 70.50. But I'm just going to continue to hold long. If it ends up dipping back down, I will buy low. I've talked about that several times, and I'll watch it. But I'm looking at historical lows on this pair. I'm going to try to hang on to it. Any additional optimism coming from US and China talks will lift this pair higher. Aussie Yen. Yen pairs were going north last week. So nice trendline break, nice clean trendline break. I'm currently in at 72.72 and looking for this to get up at least to a couple of spots. One would be this high at 74.55. Next would be this 1.27 extension around 75.77. and just look at this high. So if we have this low to high swing and we can match that, hopefully that gets us up to a couple of these profit levels. We can start protecting some profit up here around 7,600 or higher. So I'm going to continue to look bullish on the Aussie yen, Aussie New Zealand. This one, there's a couple of options. One is we may be heading back up to retest this high around 108.20, 108.30. If I hit that level around 108.25, which I have a chart alarm set, then I'm in at 10700. I'm going to try to protect some profits there and probably grab that 120 pips or so and then look for a corrective move. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be selling this. I have some robots that will be selling, that are selling. For me personally, I'm just going to be buying this off of the larger time frame, the weekly, the monthly. We're sitting near historical lows around 103 to 102 to 101. All those big levels I like to be buying only. That doesn't mean, of course, I can't sell it from 108 down to those levels, but I'd like to buy for now. So I'm just going to stick to the longs on the Aussie New Zealand for now and see what happens. But if we get up and retest this high at 108.25, I'll grab some pips off that 107 buy position. Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar is flat. We kind of have a really nice pattern here, and I think this is a pattern inside of a pattern. So just like the Russian nesting dolls, do we have a hidden little head and shoulders right there that we just broke the neckline? So if so, this could be a noisy little day, but off we go to the upside. Hopefully that's the case, to make good on a larger reversal pattern that could be setting up in the next 3 to 6 months. Hopefully sooner than that, but I'm just looking to see, is this pattern within a pattern? If so, then step number one is to get us out to this resistance around 6850 to 6900. If we hit that area, I will be happy because I've built up a couple of positions near this base, and 6850, 6900 will be a nice little profit. And anything beyond that would be fantastic. If it is an inverse head and shoulders or a bullish head and shoulders, that's good too. I'll still look to reposition myself over here for a right shoulder and then take it up towards the neckline break and this channel break. And this might be a trade that takes us into 2020, but hopefully kicks us off with a nice push against the dollar. So I'm still liking long on Aussie dollar. CAD Swiss, I had a little bonus session for my trading room last week. We traded the news, or we looked at the news at least. It just didn't come up high enough. So I'm just kind of hanging out on this pair right now. We did take some profit from these lows. We were in around 74.45. Took profit around 7,500 or higher. So a nice little chunk of profit there. I was anticipating this going up a little bit higher towards 76. If it does, that's probably a good opportunity to short with a fairly tight stop and take it back down to structural lows, range levels here. So again, low risk, high reward type setup on the CAD Swiss. Personally, I would just like this to drop. After taking some profit there, if this drops back down or drops even further, I'm just going to keep buying it. I want to buy this thing as low as possible, and I will be stalking this pair really forever until it gets up to 8,000 or higher. So as long as this thing keeps pushing at lows, 7,300 to 7,100, I'll keep buying it. 8,000 is going to be my near term, or actually my medium term to long term target on this one. CAD yen. Anything on CAD yen? Same thing as Aussie yen. We have this swing from low to high. We're looking, I didn't want to move that. We're looking for this to go up to 8,300 and retest this previous high back around 83.20. So you can see that last week's news, there's your big jump on Friday. Look to stay long. So we're making higher lows for now. We might have a little bit of a pullback there, but we should still be looking bullish on the CAD yen. Swiss yen. This is safe haven versus safe haven. So it's not really the most enjoyable trade, but sooner or later we'll get something. Now this could just be coming up to intermediate resistance right in here. That looks around 109.50 or so. If we hit 109.50, perhaps a shorting opportunity back down to the lows at 106.80. I'm a little disappointed. I think I highlighted this in last week's video. We just missed an entry there. We had our buy at 106.30. And that was a previous low. We were going to buy just off the previous low. Just didn't get filled. The low's like 106.80-ish. And ended up going the way that we wanted it to go. But good trade, right idea, just didn't get filled, unfortunately. But we can always go find another trade. Speaking of another trade, here is the Euro Aussie. Here is the larger structure. A lot of these Aussie pairs are setting up some patterns. Left shoulder, head to neckline. We also have a bit of a rising wedge forming inside this head and shoulders that I'd like to think is going to be how the right shoulder forms. So I'm looking for resistance levels. I'm looking for confirmation for this thing to break. And when it does, there's a lot of room to the downside here. So that's why I put on the charts, look for trend line break, look for channel break, look for lower lows. We haven't seen that quite yet, but keep an eye on this pair. If this pair pushes to the downside, there is a lot of it. Meaning, from a break of 6,000, I'm looking at 1.50 minimum. I mean, that's a 1,000 pip movement. And if you go to the higher time frame and I compress this chart, like the daily, you will see if you look left, I mean, this stretches out quite a ways. This goes all the way back to 36.50. So am I asking it to go that far? Well, sure, I'd love it to go that far. But the reality is, even if it comes back to this area, this is around 5,200. 5,000 is a nice round number. If we go from this low to this high, it's approximately a midpoint. So just a 50% move would more or less let this pair balance. And if we break the structure with a nice head and shoulders, 1,000 pips. Nobody's going to complain about making some pips. So I like that pair, being patient, but looking to sell it. EuroCAD. Daily chart, EuroCAD, looking for this thing to try to grind higher. I did put another buy in. We took about 220 pips of profit on this one last week, right there. And we are looking for this to continue. So we are clearly now on the right side of this channel. Equal low-ish around 44.96, or we have our double bottom around 4,400. I'm still looking for this to claw its way higher. If this pair goes higher, expect the CAD Swiss to drop. But there's more volatility and opportunity on this particular pair to go to the upside. Our target's going to be 5,000. And just a quick side note, if anybody's hearing some heavy sawing in the background, it's not construction at the house. It is my dogs. This is Benji. This is Buster. He's the quiet one. He is the not so quiet one. So this little guy, as I am doing the video, he pays no attention and just does what he wishes, which is sleep face down, and he can barely breathe. So that's the snoring from Benji. That's Buster. Hello, everybody. All right, so let's move on. Let's go Euro Swiss. Still looking at bullish on Euro Swiss. We have broken the trend line. We're trying to get back to 1100. We're trying to get back to previous lows around 1150. So let's go. Maybe we have a bit of a pause. So we had a nice little rally here. We struck a point for the high. Finally, I thought we had a wedge formation. So let's see if we're going to hold this area and then push up again towards 1100 or 1150. That is my target based on some positions that I have built on this Euro Swiss. So I'm going to continue to hold long on that pair. Euro pound, this will be the first pound pair that we discuss, but keep an eye on the wildness. Let's go to the daily chart. Just a nice steady pullback and then 48 hours of madness and crazy pound strength with Ireland meeting with the UK and possible Brexit deal or possible Brexit endorsement happening. It appears that price has gotten a little bit ahead of reality with 48 hours of madness in the pound. And, the euro pound is the lowest volatility currency pair of the pound crosses. But this was wild. I mean, straight down for 2 straight days. That is 320 pips. We have a little pullback. We have some volatility today. So I'm sure that this is traders coming in after the fact and now trying to jump on board with the roller coaster and the volatility, and they're not getting it. You had to just be in. You had to be enjoying this and taking advantage of it and scalping it. I had a lot of traders last week that were trading the pound pairs. Great. They made a lot of pips. They made a lot of profit. That's fantastic. But again, trade at your own risk, because who knows if this is going to be sustainable? Who knows if what we have seen from this movement in 48 hours is going to stay this way? We might see this be 48 hours down, and this week it might come all the way back up. And at the end of the day, nothing is happening other than offering traders short-term volatility, which again is a good thing. So if you want to trade this stuff, the pound is moving. And it's probably not going to stop until the end of the month, and it might even get wilder by the end of the month. So just be careful, just note that, but it is moving. That's what's exciting about it. That's Euro pound. Euro New Zealand. Nope, Euro yen. Fake jout. Euro yen, looking good. Low to high, higher low to higher high. We're trying to get up to score a point and at least hit 120. I'm looking for a round number at 120. 120.70. I'd like to ideally get up to this high around 123. But we'll just hang on to it. It looks pretty good. Postured for this swing to go higher, 121 to 122. Probably start protecting, but trying to hit some profits and resistance around 123 and change. Euro New Zealand. Euro New Zealand and the Euro Aussie are not quite in the same patterns, but I do like how this Euro New Zealand is setting up something like this. If we're just coiling, I'd love to have this thing drop back down towards 7,000. I'm currently short around 75.50, trying to get this thing back down towards 7,000. That is Euro New Zealand. Euro dollar, we made some profit on this 2 weeks ago now, and we're just kind of patiently waiting to see, can the euro dollar clear 1.1040? It's having a heck of a time doing that. If it does pose a daily candle close above 1.1040, then I believe in its own little unique way, whether it's fast or slow, we'll get up towards 112. If this continues to be a stalling point, we'll have to see what happens over here. This may be some funky little head and shoulders that's trying to build off the backside of this trend line. It might be the point that's scored by the bulls, and this thing drops right back down to these lows, which has been continuing on since, well, really May or June of last year. So 1.1040 is my kind of bullish confirmation to take this up towards 1,200. Otherwise, I am staying out of this for right now and just trying to set a better trade at a later time, or buy it at a super, super low, or just wait for more clarity. So we're either going to break bullish above 110.40, or we're going to come back down towards 108, and I'll just buy it super low. Next, pound pairs. Here's our pound Aussie. Crazy volatility. Now, the good thing about this one, take a look at this pound Aussie. This structure has been identified since middle of July. And we just go from support to resistance in 2 days. Now, is it structurally sound? Yes. Is it sustainable? Probably not. Let's look at this on the 1 hour chart. Straight up, pause, straight up. This is the type of volatility that traders are having difficulty with. You know, it's right there at channel support. We have one convincing candle, one crazy day that this is all 3 hours. This is 3 or 4 hours of movement. So what happens? You know, you get all the excitement there in 3 hours, and then nothing happens for like 12 to 16 hours. And then you get another 3 or 4 hours of excitement, and then nothing has happened since. So you've got to be on your toes for this stuff. Look at where we are. I think that there are probably traders that are going to short this move and make some money on the way back down. Again, stop area up here, try to take it back to this area, go after a scalp, see if it pays off. If you don't want to trade it, then don't trade it. Wait for the dust to settle on the pound stuff. But all the pound pairs are going to look pretty similar with straight up moves or straight down moves, because last week was a wild week. Pound CAD. Same thing. Straight up pause, straight up pause. We have pulled back. We also had news on Friday that we dealt with a strong pound and strong CAD. So high volatility, and just to put this in perspective, this low to high, oh, no big deal, 556 pips in 2 days. The pound Swiss, same thing, even less of a pause there. Straight up, pause, straight up, again, balancing out for today. Pound yen, straight up, pause, straight up, balancing out for today. Pound New Zealand, straight up, pause, straight up, and sideways. The New Zealand is one of the weaker currency pairs of the morning. The pound has been all over the place, but you can see that the pound is still on top of the Kiwi for the morning. And speaking of higher time frames and this currency pair, watching very closely. I do want to look at 2.00. Last week I made an executive decision in my trading room to not force a trade in the wake of all this pound madness. We did have a pending sell at 2.00. I know that some traders took it. I know some traders got filled on it. We ended up going up towards 2.01, but I moved my trade during our live session. I moved my trade up here to 2.0447. I'm just giving it the wiggle room it needs. This might be wild and crazy. This might fail up here and then drop straight back down, and I'll miss the trade. That's okay. I can certainly trade it over here. I can certainly trade it over here. I can get involved that this thing is going to go back down. I can trade this and jump in and participate. I just don't want to be putting in a trade and then having a rocket ship go through my entry and wondering if and when it will stop. So I'll put it up here at a resistance point and see what happens. All right, that's pound New Zealand. Pound dollar. This one also has been straight up, right to the level that we thought we would get some corrections back towards, which is around 2,600 to 2,700. And so successfully for the traders that were able to hang on to this, double bottom at 2,000, all the way up to 25 and change, all the way back down to 2,200, and then 48 hours of craziness to 26 and change. So protect those profits. New Zealand CAD. Home stretch. New Zealand CAD still building off some lows. I have some small positions in here. Looking to take it up towards 86, where I will look to take some profits. And if we hit an outer channel that's right around 9,000, I can just get rid of my little squiggles and show the structure right there. So support, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, support. Let's find a channel. 8,600 is kind of the midpoint. and 9,000 would be the outer channel and resistance zone. So we'll see if we can carve out some lows on the New Zealand CAD. New Zealand Swiss, another one that has just been sideways, but I'm still holding for this channel movement. I'm still holding for this to get above this yellow box. Let's go. Maybe I need to remove my yellow box so the market doesn't see it as a restriction. So let me do that. Let me update this workspace right here and say, you know what, market, if you need me to get this out of the way, there. Now you're free to run to the upside. So if we're going to run to 6,650, 6,700, go, go, go. I'm not holding you back any longer. All I know is that I'm buying low, looking for this thing to go higher. New Zealand yen, just like the Aussie yen, just like the CAD yen, coming off these lows, we're looking for pushes into 69.64. That's a previous high. 7,000 is a round number, and 73.50. If you write this down, take note of this level. That is a big profit level and a gap from the market way back in May. So if we can carve out these lows successfully, which we look to have done, either, even if this is going to be a double bottom over here, I'm still looking for this to break these highs or try to break these highs and still go up. So I'm still favoring some bullishness, at least to 70. And although I may not be super aggressive on this trade to the north, my goal would be to get this to a level that I'm satisfied with a break even, or maybe locking in 50 to 100 pips and see if it wants to continue to run and I can enjoy the rest of that run. So I will have some profits locked in, and if it wants to run in my favor, then I'll just keep moving a trailing stop with that. So that's New Zealand yen. New Zealand dollar, I'm trying to build this one just like the Aussie dollar. Can we hold these lows on the right side of this trend line, right side of this area? Come on, New Zealand dollar. What's going on here? Again, I thought we had a little head and shoulders right here. A little head and shoulders there into another head and shoulders, possibly setting up here. So we might have to have a bit of a dip around 62.50 or so. But overall, I'm looking for this to carve out some lows and start recovering. Again, technically, even if it's going to make a lower high gets us to around 6,600. I'd like to see the structure change a little bit and get us back up to this, yellow pocket I've got identified at 68.90. We also have a nice pocket around 66.50. So come on, man, let's carve out some lows. Again, we need some US-China talks to help this one along the way. Dollar CAD continues to be kind of one of my least favorite currency pairs. I probably wouldn't be surprised. I'm not trading this one personally, but we're probably going to tap this level around 32.50. I should have just bought that end of day Friday. We just came straight down on the CAD news, pull back, pull back, pull back. More than likely, here's two ways to play it. If you bought it low, you're looking to take profit around 32.50. If you're waiting for 32.50, that's probably not a bad spot to sell. If we go straight down, slow, 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 you can sell that zone and put a stop loss above these highs and go after a new push lower. Again, if we're pushing into 31.80 or lower, 1.30 round number and a big notable spot for the dollar CAD. The problem with that is look at where we stopped. We have all of these equal lows in the same area. So are we slightly making lower lows? Yeah, marginally. I mean, all this structure here, high to low, we might just set up another annoying right area, but I'd still look at, I look at the weekly chart last week. It still favors a sell trade. It's just really tough. Dollar sideways, oil's all over the place, everything's sideways and tough and channeled and rangy. So I just think this one's it's having a hard time getting the upper hand. Dollar Swiss, 1.00 continues to be resistance, but there's no trade in this one in my opinion. Dollar yen continues to look for some optimism to the upside. Let's go to that daily chart. You'll see those similar swings like Aussie yen, CAD yen, Euro yen, stuff like that. So low, high, pull back to previous resistance at 107 becomes support at 107, and off we go to the upside. We did have a buy trade in at 107.00 or 107.05, and that didn't get filled, unfortunately, because it started to go our way. We wanted to get back to 108 and change. We should just be looking to stay bullish. I've got some robots that are active and bullish on this right now, and the higher it goes, the better. So I'll just keep participating with the dollar yen to the upside. Dollar index, US dollar. Nice structural break last week, but look left, resistance becomes support. So this, again, is a critical spot right here. Are we going to jump off of that low? Are we going to break, finally, this structure that hasn't been broken since December of last year? That is the question that we're asking. I don't think it's ready to break. I don't think the dollar's ready to be dethroned yet. But time will tell, and so will the weekly and daily chart. But this is the structure that I see. Still in a channel, Still able to grind higher until this channel breaks. So we'll see. I mean, could the Fed make it happen? Sure. Could something else make it happen like US-China? Sure. A lot of things can make it happen. But until it makes it happen, until the confirmation is here on our charts, printing a close on a daily or weekly candle, consider it range bound for now and for all eternity until it breaks. Here we go. What's next? Let's go to oil again. Revisit that between our levels. Volatility abound, 51 support, 61 resistance. Turkey, Syria, as that continues to develop and possibly escalate, that will drive prices higher. Bears are going to have to do some work to drive it below $51. It is cleanly supported off this area for now, but firm resistance, even after the drone strike there, Saudi Arabia, was $61. So that came back like a falling knife all the way back down to support. So it just keeps bouncing around between that range. Let's take a look at gold and silver. I'll look at gold first. Nope, that's silver first. What am I doing? XAU USD. We're in a nice corrective area. We're just below 1,500. You know, the bulls would have to break through 1,530 to really rejuvenate this bullish run. 1,530 and higher. We'd have to have some strong closes on the right side of this channel. This is probably going to be some heavy profit taking and a slow grind back down to support. And we'll see if we get some bulls coming from, the 1,400 zone to 1,360 zone. Otherwise, I'm kind of disinterested in gold at this time. Silver, pretty similar structure. A bit more of a decline. You can see the sharpness in this one, but similar structure with highs, lows, bit of a corrective channel. If time allows this to go sideways enough to break, we will see if that thrust this higher towards $20 and change, or we just stay in this structure, and reset all the way down to $14. It's been a good run, and we look to buy it again. I'm still going to hold positions at 14, looking for a medium to long-term run to the upside. Let's talk cryptos. Bitcoin is hanging out at 82.75. We're right at the 50% zone of this big swing from 35 all the way to 13.7. 50% zone, where you going, man? You going to stay there? You going to drop back down? You going to go sideways long enough to structurally break? We'll see. I know that Facebook's Project Libra took a big hit as big backers kind of jumped off of the bandwagon. But Facebook's stock price hasn't budged much, and neither has the crypto world. So we're just going to hang out and watch and see what happens. Time will tell. Is this going to sustain the lows here at the 50% zone and see if this larger swing gets some legs to the upside? I think time on the right side of this channel will be a better case for the bulls. If the bears are going to strike, now seems to be the time to do it. We have a push, we have a bear flag. If they're going to push it any lower, 618, 786, we might drive this all the way back down into those technical lows where everyone thought that the cryptocurrency world was dead. But again, this might be a trader's chart where this is your low. It comes all the way back down here in a corrective fashion, and then eureka. We buy it again, and we buy low, and we sell high. This just becomes structure that we can trade from. So don't lose hope, don't lose sight. We'll get a trade on this sooner or later, but I think Bitcoin continues to be kind of a leading indicator for other cryptos out there, at least some of the majors like Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, things like that. So we'll see what happens. Some interesting developments in the stock world this week. We have some earnings. I know it's Columbus Day today on Monday, but stocks are open for business. We have, Q3 earnings coming this week from JP Morgan, Citi, Wells Fargo, Charles Schwab, some big investment banks, obviously. Wednesday earnings from Netflix, Bank of America, IBM, Comerica. Thursday, Morgan Stanley, E-Trade, Honeywell. Friday, Coca-Cola, American Express. So big earnings week out there. Keep an eye on the SPY. No rhyme intended, but keep an eye on the SPY. If we can still sustain some bullishness, we've had a pretty volatile session so far. Let's get this into real price time. Here we go. If we can sustain this little level, yes, it doesn't look good for the next probably 6 to 12 months. But with this little marginal trendline break from last week, if we keep seeing green on the chart, that's a good sign. But I think we've got a gap to fill. Let's find out. Let's go down to the 1-hour chart. Because of that Friday optimism going into last week's trading, you can see there is a gap to fill. You notice that this gap was filled. This gap was filled. This gap was filled. This gap probably trying to get filled. But is that going to get filled? Resistance, resistance, resistance becomes support. Can we bounce off of that? Can we still have an uplift to kick off this market post-holiday? We will find out. So if you have any questions, let me know. I appreciate the likes, the comments, the feedback. This is how you can find me out there in the social media world. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. There's my email. Let's have a fantastic week trading, everybody. We have lots of earnings, lots of volatility ahead, and looking forward to it. Talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye.